Hello internet friends, Napyet here. In this video we're going to take a look at my growing Studio Series 86 collection. I am far from complete, as you can see. These are the toys that I've got so far. But this line is very much connected with my YouTube channel. I started this channel because I wanted to talk about collecting toys, which is something I've not done for many years. But the toys I was collecting were display pieces for my walls. I'll do a look here at my Motu collection that's up on the wall, and you can see these guys. They don't have a lot of articulation. The engineering wasn't there back in the day, and they kind of fill the space of display pieces for me without being as expensive as the actual vintage figures. So I wanted a line that I could unbox on the channel, talk about on the channel, and that actually beyond that is just an evolution of the kind of Transformers that I like from the 80s, but with modern articulation, and this line does that. The Studio Series 86 is within the Studio Series subline more broadly. I don't think 86 is considered a subline in itself. The Studio Series is a subline, but the stuff from the Transformers animated movie, My Era of Transformers, has the 86 suffix to it, and it also has the movie logo on all the packaging. So yeah, I'm just going to talk broadly in this video about my perception of the series and what I'm hoping for the future with it. I've got more than these. As I say, I've got Starscream downstairs to unbox, Grimlock, the Sweep, which is a redeco of Scourge, which they brought out earlier, and that's some of the things I want to talk about. My approach to this line. Basically, I'm not someone who wants a lot of toys. I want very specific things, and I like a kind of a collection, a focus that I can manage. And Hasbro brings out so many lines of Transformers now. Most recently, Earthrise and the Kingdom stuff, which is tied to the Netflix series. It's a great time to be collecting Transformers if you're OG focused like me, but those two toys are still focused on the Netflix series, and the Netflix series is focused on recreating G1. So you get, say, a version of Optimus Prime that is very G1 like, but the G1 as interpreted through the Netflix series. The 86 is taking that original animation and trying to get a little bit closer to it. There are some great figures in the Kingdom and Earthrise line. Galvatron is there and so on. And I've been talking to you guys as I've been going about what to do with this line, and a lot of you have been giving me thoughts and input on it, which I appreciate. And some of you are like me and not picking them up yet, because I want to see exactly what happens with this movie Studio Series, the animated movie 86, and see how long this goes on for. Already they've added Starscream that is Studio Series 86 specifically. It's just a retool of the earlier Earthrise figure, so I'm holding off in case stuff comes out in the 86, and sometimes they actually change the detailing so it's more cartoon accurate. If you think about the Netflix series, there's lots of mechanical parts and texturing on the metal of the characters, because it's a more modern series and you can see more detail. It seems to me that what they're doing with the Studio Series 86 is that when they bring out a figure in this line, it has less of that intricate detail and more like cel-shaded animation. I've done an unboxing. I did a versus version of this, a video of this for the channel, in which I talked about the first release of Kup and the second release of Kup. And the first one had a lot of detail on the chest here, kind of a transparent chest piece, and it looked cool, but it wasn't cartoon accurate. And then they brought this guy out, still in the 86 series, part of the buzzworthy Bumblebee packaging subline, and they put this chest piece on, which is very much like a cartoon shaded thing, to make him more like a cartoon. And I think we'll see more of that. So yeah, I can see Hasbro starting to react to what fans want, really. Wheelie is a good example. So a version of him came with Grimlock initially. It was a static figure, basically, a pack-in, but he didn't have articulation, he couldn't transform. And then within the space of 12 months really from that initial release in this line, they brought out this version of Wheelie in the core class, which is very small figures, not just the mini bots and things. In the core you have smaller versions of key characters, like Ratchet is coming out for instance. But it's an opportunity for them to bring out these figures, and I'm not sure if they really knew they were going to do that at the very beginning. I think this might be a reaction to the fact that people were looking at characters like, they also brought out Daniel, a version of him with Slug, I believe it was, who again did not transform, did not look very good. He didn't even have a face. As a pack-in, it was very poor, and I think there was fan reaction to that. This is not good enough. So now we've got a version, this is not Daniel, this is Spike, but fully transformable and articulating action figure. I'm learning things as I go as well. Perceptor was the first guy that I bought because he was never released in the UK under the original G1 line, and I wanted a version of Perceptor. So I was blown away by this figure when I first got him. He really looks accurate to the movie. But let's have a look at RC. She has great articulation, lots of and very slender character who looks very movie accurate apart from the backpack. In car mode, it's a very slender thing, but wouldn't you know it, it's the car mode is kind of just one piece, so they almost don't have to think about the transformation, just pack the body away inside this, and then they can go crazy with the articulation and the accuracy. And then you get someone like Perceptor, who you would think, well, he just transforms into a telescope. It's not a smooth, sleek, futuristic design, but actually his articulation is not quite as good. He's a very chunky figure, and I'm not sure why they decided that really. I suppose it must be tied to the kind of thing that he transforms into. But yeah, Perceptor was one that initially I thought, he's very cool, I'm really happy with him. And then as I've seen the other characters and unboxed them and checked out what they're doing with guys like Hot Rod and how intricate it can get, you can really get some dynamic poses with this guy. Look how his arm is able to twist across and go up and around. And technically, probably a more complicated transformation, yet he's a core character, so maybe that is why more time has been lavished on this character than say someone like Perceptor, who's very chunky. And it's not bad, the articulation with Perceptor, but everything is relative. So once you get hold of people like Hot Rod, you think, why haven't you lavished a little bit more time on the articulation? If that is the focus for these modern Transformers, it's like Masterpiece for people who don't want to spend an awful lot of money on each purchase. And then you have a character like Jazz, who didn't feature hugely in the movie, but this is such a loving recreation of that original G1 toy and cartoon representation of this guy. It's perfect for someone like me. It's exactly what I want, and the dream would be to have the full original G1 line in this kind of style, and with this minimal detailing in terms of like the texture of the metallic plates and things. Keep it simple so that it looks like almost like a cartoon. There's a balance to be had. I know that some people don't want them to all to look like the cartoon, and they want some kind of hybrid representation, which is cool. That's another thing I've learned, that everyone wants slightly different things from these characters. So one thing that I am really enjoying an awful lot is the scale. I've talked about that on the channel already and why that's an issue, so I don't want to harp on too much about that. But as you can see, the Dinobots are absolutely huge, and I've been rewatching the G1 cartoon, and researching it, thinking, wow, were the Dinobots that big? I had forgotten that the Dinobots were that big. And my dream is that they will continue to focus on scale and bring us other characters. I would love, personally, a version of Devastator. With scale in mind, so that we can get an absolutely huge version of Devastator. I don't know if they'd ever do something like that, but they are bringing out a version of Menasor and the Stunticons, so it's a possibility. That's what I'm really hoping for this line. But I just love the way it looks on the shelf. Do sub up and like if you haven't yet. We're going to be unboxing Starscream and Grimlock. I've got Sweep to unbox. I don't think I'm going to be getting hold of Scourge because I don't like that original deco, and that's another thing with this line. I'm not going to make myself collect everything in numerical order. If a better version of a character comes later, I'll skip the former one. I'm not bothered about having everything numbered. That's just the way I've always been. I just buy the things that I want and keep it very specific. And also getting used to how modern collecting works. Hasbro seems to be bringing out a lot of these retro reissue things, so it seems like a good time to be collecting it. I've come into it at this point, so I'm guessing, and I've heard from a few of you, that that's why you started collecting as well. So hopefully the channel is of interest because of that. But yeah, I'm learning about modern collecting. So for instance, how anxious to get about getting all these different toys. You don't have to go as quickly as I thought and be worried about getting hold of things in terms of pre-orders and stuff like that. If you're patient, stuff turns up and it filters through into the market. Certainly in the UK, there are a couple of lines like the Ghostbusters line, the Turtles line, that I thought if I don't grab these now, I'm going to miss. And it's not been the case. Like 12 months later, some more of them come through those, particularly the specialist shops, like keeping an eye on those for the figures that you're after, and they generally turn up again. And with the studio series as well, I found that with the Transformers, you think Hot Rod is not anywhere, I can't get a hold of Hot Rod, it's so hard. And then suddenly he turns up on a number of sites and in a number of shops. It's not like that window closes and it's a hard close. And there's always eBay as well, and I don't want to go to eBay unless I have to. But actually the prices on eBay are not too bad. That's how I got Grimlock downstairs. But wouldn't you know it, as soon as I got that, I'd waited 12 months for Grimlock to see if he came up again in any of the specialist shops. By specialists, I mean in-demand toys, Kup toys in the UK. And got him from eBay. And then suddenly, a week later, Kup Toys got Grimlock Studio Series back in stock. So if I'd waited an extra week, I wouldn't have had to go to eBay, and I didn't pay through the nose on eBay. I paid a decent amount of money. So you don't have to panic quite as much as I thought you might have to. But yeah, I'm enjoying learning all this stuff, enjoying hearing from you guys. Currently very Transformers focused, and trying to think of more videos for Transformers fans, but I do want to keep my options open in terms of what I'm going to be covering on the channel. I don't want to just do Transformers. So you will see other videos in there, but I'll mix it up and keep things interesting for people who just like Transformers, and then for other people who are just more broadly interested in lots of different things. I've been Napier. Thank you for watching all the videos. I'll see you in the next one. Sub and like and all that garbage, and I'll see you soon. Bye.